Hey, Sinar, that indicator you was talking about is a QQE. To me, it's always been similar, seems similar to the RSI. I'm using Roman's version from 2006. Here's the full name of it. It's a, if you Googled it and looked it up, you'd understand. It's more that quantitative. That's where that quants thing comes from. Everybody talks about quants. But anyway, I'm using his version. Of course, like most things, I'll add and to kind of doll it up to suit me. Yeah, that was the wrong thing, wasn't it? This is what I want. Okay, so here's the idea behind it. In that, I really can't even remember what the chart was you was talking about now, but let me go at it from this angle. If you use the QQE as a signal, like say buy when it crosses above 50, kind of like people say the RSI, sometimes you buy when it crosses above 50, or sell when it crosses below, or when it crosses its signal line. If you use that as a filter or a signal, you can see here I have this down here in histogram form, and in the first run, what is it? It has to be, just focus on the blue here, it has to be above its signal, so the line is above that, dotted, and it has to be above the 50. For it to be red, like here, it has to be below the signal, and the QQE itself has to be below the 50. So in a case like here, the QQE is below its signal line, but it's not below the 50, so there's no red bars there. In the second row, all that matters is it above or below its signal line. So the QQE here is below its signal line, so it's red. QQE here must be above, and it is, so it's blue. All right, so that's all that this is saying here. It's just another way to view this. So what we have here, we have the QQE, and let's just say our signal is going to be crossing above or below 50. And in this case, if we used it as our filter, we would only be looking for, or I would only be looking for sales. I'm not interested in buying here. I'm only looking for the possibility of a sell. It crossed below the 50 one time, so I would have had one sell on the daily, and right as it stands right now, it'd be 54 pips in the hole. One down. That's what that stands for, one down. Sometimes the best signal in the world is the worst signal in the world on the time frame that you're looking at, such as right here. Now watch what happens when we drop down to, say, the 240. Same exact signal. It has to cross below the 50, and it has to be in this period of time here as determined by this green line and this red line. If I move this green line back here, well, then my sell could be anywhere in this period. But because we're using it as a filter, a trend indicator like we was talking about here lately, I'm only looking for sales. So let's drop down to the 4 hour. Don't care about buys. I had 2 sales so far on the 240 chart, 82 pips total. So let's look and see if we can find them. That one wouldn't count because it is on the line. That one would not count. Okay, so there'd be 1, there'd be 2, cross below the 50, and here's the begin. Well, let me see. It's going to aggravate me if I don't turn that on off. Auto scroll. So it was already below the 50, so that don't count. So, and it flattened out here. It didn't go below. So there's 1, there's 2. And if you put the QQE on your charts, you should see the same thing. Let's go to the hour. Okay. Let's move back where I can see. Okay, it says I have 10 signals, 633 pips in that same period of time. So what we wanted it to cross down below. Now, I'm probably going to miss some because sometimes it'll kind of like whoopsaw, you know how it does above 50. There's 1. There's 2. 3. I bet that's 1 right there. Maybe not. Yeah, it is. 49. What were we at? 3. There's 4. There's 5. There's 6. I bet that would be 1 right there too. It just probably just barely got above it. Yep, it did. See, 50. So it fell back down. Darn, I forgot what I was counting now. 6, maybe 7. I don't know. There's 8. There's 9. Okay, I see 9. And there's probably another one that's, you know, when you start talking about 50 and 50.0001, you know, it is above 50, and 49.999999 is below 50. When you start talking about it like that, it gets kind of hard to see them all. But anyway, you see, they're there if you put it on, what am I on? Euro USD. If you put it on the Euro USD, you'd see just as many. Okay, 30-minute says 26 trades, 1,823 pips. Let's go to the 15 because I know I pretty much got the 15. 49 trades, 1,702 pips right there. And just like the other video, all this is doing is counting the trades and adding up the pips. Let's see here. So what this is doing is looking at the sales going backwards, counting them all back in time. And here, the number one sale, the first sale, is right now losing 38 pips, or was when I ran it. And it would have been about right here. Probably about right there. So if I go up, it says 44, probably was a little higher. But anyway, it's accurate. It's counting them right. There's no point in me not counting them right. But you could see, and that's the purpose of the QQE for me. Above 50 seems to be a stronger market. Below 50 seems to be a weaker market. So when the QQE is below the 50 line, or the QQE is below its signal line, which is really just kind of a moving average of it. You know how that works. I look for weakness. Don't guarantee it, but that's what I look for. Anyway, that's the thing on QQE. And if you Google QQE, it's kind of interesting. But that's enough of that.